Hey everybody, I just wanted to jump on really quickly. I just saw something on Facebook, as usual, right? And there was this demonstration of somebody on YouTube claiming that if you look at the outside of your essential oil bottles, you will discover which is quality essential oil brands and which aren't quality essential oil brands, simply by checking the outside of the bottle. Now, as some of you may know from my Learning About EO's website, I have a post called Name Names, and I told you guys you cannot judge by the label. The reason is the FDA does not approve anything on these labels of essential oils. And you can find really great companies, hi from UK, you can find really great companies that will tell you right up front, look, you need to be safe with these essential oils, so for liability reasons, we have to put on here, not for internal use. Please use externally only. Some of them say not for use on the skin even. Now this is, good morning, this is not to say that the essential oils cannot be used on the skin. This is not to say that essential oils cannot be used internally sometimes. We are talking about the myth that you can only use essential oils topically or internally or at all if they have a supplement label on them. And that is just not true. There are really great brands who do say for external use only, and that is because of liability reasons, number one, and also because they know the power of essential oils and they don't want anybody to misuse them. So if you are, please do not fall for that, because there's plenty of brands out there that do warn you about using them internally or on the skin. So, please be careful that you don't fall for that gimmick. It's for liability reasons. And they're not telling you that we know our essential oils aren't that great, so please don't use them. No, that's not what they're saying at all. So please just, use a little bit of common sense. Realize that these companies, they cannot say a whole lot. There's a lot of claims that they cannot make, not because they're not true, but because the FDA will get on them and say, look, you're selling a product. You can't also tell them the benefits, which is really unfortunate. But, it's supposedly here to protect us. So, you don't have company reps or, FDA compliance, exactly. And, I don't know that I agree with that per se. But, there is a reasoning behind that to keep people safe. So please, labels are not the be all end all. Just know that anybody can put anything on a label and that does not make it true. So, essential oils are really to be treated the same. Lemon essential oil from one company is pretty much going to be lemon essential oil from another company. It's going to be pretty much the same thing. I do believe that there are certain instances, yes, where essential oils can be used internally. That may be in your lifetime, that may never come up for you. So yes, our group is here to help. Please go to usingeossafely.com/FB and you will be able to go right to our group. Yes, the FDA, thank you. Evan says the FDA is the most corrupt agency in the country, needs to be disbanded. Thank you for that opinion. Yes, herbal compliance acronym, I'm not sure what that is. But, really just be mindful. Again, what I was saying about lemon essential oil, I'm saying lemon because our topic this week is on lemon essential oil. There are instances where you can use it internally, and you asked how or why or which ones. Lavender has been proven. If you use it internally, it can help with anxiety. Now, this is not to say add it to your water. That's a whole other ball game. You can add 1 or 2 drops to a capsule with a carrier oil, and you can ingest that, only with supervision. I'm just telling you, there's a couple of things that I am personally okay with recommending in certain instances, and you definitely want to make sure that this is okay with your healthcare provider before you do so. But I personally am comfortable with recommending lavender for severe anxiety. The other one that I'm comfortable recommending is peppermint. Again, in a capsule, only 1 or 2 drops, and this is for IBS. And you want to make sure you have enteric-coated capsules when you do this, so that it's not destroyed in the stomach and it gets to where it needs to. So there are reasons why you can use essential oils internally. I'm not against it 100% of the time. I do think that 99% of the time, that is not a way you need to use it. In fact, many of you in your lifetime, I've never had a reason yet personally to use any essential oils internally. That is just for me. So, you may never need to either, but there are some people with chronic health issues that can benefit. But you have to, yes, you definitely need a carrier oil. You really need to work with somebody who knows what they're doing in order to make sure that that is something that is good for you. Sometimes using essential oils internally can have conflicts with drugs that you're using as well. So that is something I didn't expect to get into, but that is really great. I appreciate those comments and questions. So please be aware, if it does say not for internal use on the outside of your bottle, don't be afraid to use it. Please use it within reason. That is there because of the FDA and some companies that do have, you can use this internally by adding to your water. They have to deal with the FDA with that. So please realize, just because it has a supplement facts does not mean it's okay, and that all other brands are not okay. Evan's saying, many people seem to want to use oils internally only because people tell them not to. Yeah, I guess so. You tell your kid, don't do this, they want to do it just because you told them not to. Yeah, I mean, there are ways that you can. It's an enteric coated capsule. It's just one, usually you kind of pre-buy them because they are all coated on the outside. There are certain gel caps that you can purchase and use. Honestly, for anxiety, it's not as much of an issue, but for using peppermint for IBS, you definitely want the enteric coated so it can make it past the stomach and get into the intestines. What about oils that aren't quality but are still labeled as pure? Don't we need to be aware of that? Yes, you do. Absolutely. I'm not saying that all essential oils are created equal. I'm not saying that. But just that the labelings, you just cannot go solely by the labeling. Like personally, I love Oracacia. They are really great. Is this a recommendation with No, I do not recommend one specific brand. I have a whole list of brands that I personally use. I have some that I do not use. You can go to usingeossafely.com/brands and find out. I just wanted to point out, for example, Oracacia is one, for example, that says, for external use only, and that is for liability reasons. If people incorrectly use essential oils internally, if they're adding it to their water and they're having adverse reactions, this protects them from liability because people are not using it smartly. They're not knowing how to do it. Arnica creams. What about arnica creams? Arnica is not to be used internally either. Arnica creams are for external use. Yeah, I mean, there are some, right? Arnica cream, obviously you wouldn't ingest that. I'm just talking about essential oils. You can. There's also another way to use them internally is for food flavoring, but again, it's only for flavoring. That means you might add 1 drop of peppermint essential oil for an entire batch of brownies. That could be okay. You can add them to recipes within reason. However, there are some, such as fennel, tarragon, there are some of those herby sounding essential oils that you may think are totally safe to use for culinary purposes that are actually potentially carcinogenic, and that is definitely something I don't recommend. So you definitely need to use, there actually are a lot of essential oils for pain relief. There's German chamomile, Roman chamomile, there's black pepper, there's copaiba, peppermint, eucalyptus. There are a lot of essential oils for pain relief. Yes, no, all essential oils are not created equally. Correct. Yeah, I'm not saying they are created equally. I'm just saying in this one instance, just because a brand does say for external use only does not mean, in fact, there's a brand that says not for use on the skin even. So that doesn't mean you cannot use it on the skin. They're just trying to cover themselves from people using it undiluted and then getting phototoxicity, irritation, burns, blistering. So right, I'm not saying they're all created equal. We know they're not all created equal. Yes, you have ingested a brownie flavored with peppermint essential oil and have had digestive issues for days. Perhaps there was too much use. And again, I'm not encouraging you to use them internally. I'm just telling you that they can sometimes be used internally, and I'm not 100% against that. If people are using essential oils just like they would an extract, which is often, 10 times, the essential oil is usually 10 times or more potent than an extract, sometimes 100 times more potent. So if you're using a whole teaspoon of peppermint essential oil instead of peppermint extract, for one thing, it's just not going to taste right at all. It's just not. It's just not. So please make sure that you are using 1 drop per teaspoon to swap it out. But again, this is not for all essential oils. Yes, it's very, 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 very strong. So, you know, 1 drop per an entire batch. You know, your risk for adverse reactions are extremely, extremely, extremely low. So please use that within reason. So this is just about a labeling thing. So please be careful. We do say check labels, and that is important too. But, you know, there's also things, you know, they're not FDA approved for what that's worth. They can say 100% pure. They may not be 100% pure. They can say for external use only. They can say, and a lot of people say, well, they're saying for external use only, which means that that's not a very pure oil, so you shouldn't even use it at all. You shouldn't diffuse with it. You shouldn't use it on your skin or anything, and that is just not true. So I just wanted to hop on here and kind of clarify that myth that I was yet again up against. You're welcome. Please come back at noon. 2 hours I will be back on here doing the lemon essential oil class for you. So stay tuned and come back in a couple hours, and we will have a lot of fun with that. So thanks for listening to me.